Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Not So Small Talk. I'm your host, Amy Lee Westervelt, and first and foremost, I want to wish you all a happy summer solstice. Summer solstice is one of those amazing times when manifestations can really run amok, when we can really create some powerful energies. And so more about that later. But today, what I wanted to talk to you about, as my nose runs away with me, what I wanted to talk to you about today is the definiteness of purpose. Now, you guys may hear me say all the time, right? It's kind of my mantra is your dreams are your job. And it's so true, right? Like your dreams are not some frivolous thing that was put on your heart just to distract you from the work that you're here to do for the man or the woman for that matter. You're not just here to serve a purpose for someone else's dream. Your dreams, the things that you actually truly desire, are here for a purpose. And I just want to invite you, if you're joining us, feel free to let me know in the comments where you're joining from, if this is your first time joining me. And of course, if you feel compelled and you want to, feel free to share this video out. I think this is going to be a really powerful conversation. So the first thing I want to ask you is, why are you here? Where are you going? What are you doing with your one precious life? Because if you don't know the answer to these questions, you're not alone. Most people don't actually know what they truly desire or where they're going. It's a very common thing for especially Americans, but really all over the world. People have a hard time articulating what it is that they truly desire. And that's for a lot of different reasons, right? That's because of conditioning, because of things that have happened to us over the years, things that people who have made us feel a certain way about wanting more than what we have, because of being in relationships where we, we're not allowed to have more, or because we feel like there are other people that don't have enough. And so why should we have more? But a lot of those misconceptions are simply limiting beliefs. And you'll hear me talk on this show every time we get on here about limiting beliefs in one way or another, because what we believe is the only thing that can preclude us from having what we want. Because if the universe, as you know I say, is the great prover, then it can only show you what you believe to be true. So it has to do with what it is that you truly believe. So when you dig in your heels and say, I'm going to believe that I'm not good enough, I'm going to believe that I'm not strong enough, I'm going to believe that I don't get to have what I want, that is the reality that you create for yourself. So coming back to our original question, why are you here? Where are you going? You may feel like, well, it doesn't really matter why I'm here, and it doesn't really matter where I'm going, because I'm going to live and I'm going to die, and that's going to be the end of it. But what if I told you that you were here for something bigger? And what if I told you that that thing that you're here for, that something bigger that you're here for, is the thing that you're meant to do in this world? That thing that it's on your heart to do is the exact reason why you were born. It's interesting. We live in a time in history when we can create dreams beyond our wildest imagination. We can send people to the moon. We can, go around the world in 180 days, or is it 80 days? Around the world in 80 days? I think it's 80 days. We can, fall in love with the love of our life across the world. There is no limit to the things that we can create in this world and what we can do. And so it makes sense that this is a time in history when we really want to go out of our way to think about what it is that we truly desire, because this is where we have our moment to actually be able to create incredible manifestations that will have lasting impact in the world. So I want you to think about what you desire. What do you truly and deeply, and I mean deeply, desire? And you'll know that it's a deep desire because it will come from someplace inside of your body, right? It won't come from your head. It'll come from, your womb space, or it'll come from your gut, or it'll come from your throat. It'll come from somewhere inside of you where you actually feel the connection to being alive. And so as you tap into that desire, I want you to kind of give yourself permission to explore it a little bit. Think about, what does that desire feel like in your body? What does it feel like to have that little tingle of, ooh, I'd like to have that experience, or, oh, I'd like to have that person in my life, or I'd like to have that thing. And as you start to really notice that desire, I want you to notice the difference between desire and something that you want. So for example, if you're going through the Target catalog and you see, one of those Keurigs and they make a new kind, and you're like, oh, I want one of those, right? That's not the same feeling as desire. So when we tap into our core desires, something really interesting happens. So I want to point out to you that this idea of the definiteness of purpose, I didn't invent it. In fact, it was thought up by one of the most prolific thought leaders of all time, not our time, of all time, Mr. Napoleon Hill. And what he has to say is this: a man without a definite major purpose is as helpless as a ship without a compass. So I invite you to just kind of think about that for a moment. Like, what does that mean to you? A man without a definite major purpose is as helpless as a ship without a compass. And I want you to think about, what would it feel like if every day you woke up, you did the same thing when you woke up, you had your day, and then you went to bed, and you did that for 70, 80, 90 years? What would be the purpose of your life? Some people might say, well, that sounds great, right? Like, all my needs are met. I get to just enjoy myself and take my time. And that's all good and plenty. But at the end of the day, if you truly believe that you're here for a purpose, and all you do is float through life, or as, Napoleon Hill says in his book, Outwitting the Devil, drifting, right? Then did you really fulfill your purpose? And did you really have a fulfilling life? So I want you to take a moment and just really think about, what do you want? Or rather, what do you desire? What is deeply on your heart to create? These may not be thoughts you've given yourself permission to have in a very long time, if at all, and that's okay. It's okay if you only have a fragment of the idea of what this looks like. Because the more that you do this, and the more you explore this, and the more you give yourself permission to tap into these deep desires, the more they will make themselves known to you. Okay, so when we get into these core desires, right, that is where we start to understand that there is a desire, a need, a deep longing for these experiences and for these things. And that is where drive comes in. So let me give you an example of drive, right? Whenever there is something to create or something to make happen, there's always an opportunity for incentives, right? To incentivize. When I was in the multi-level marketing world, they understood this very well, and they incentivized us at every turn. Do this and get this trip. Make this goal and get this bonus money. Make this happen and get this bonus, and so on and so forth. And so what ended up happening was, we were conditioned to only do things when there was some kind of reward. But what happened was, after a while, when you had so much of whatever that reward was, you kind of got desensitized to it. And you turned around and said, you know what? I don't really need another pair of Freebird shoes. I've been to California 17 times. That really doesn't work for me anymore. And so we would stop performing because we were no longer driven by the behavior. So when you figure out what you want, or what you desire rather, because desire is deeper than want, that's when drive kicks in. Because if you're shooting for something that you don't really care about, then your drive really isn't going to be there and you're not really going to want to strive to make it happen, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say that you have a child and your child has a condition, and if you don't get a certain, medicine by 12 o'clock tomorrow midnight, right, such and such is going to happen. Or have you ever noticed in those movies, like what is it, Happy Gilmore, when if he doesn't win this, golf tournament by the time whatever, then his grandmother's house is going to be repossessed. There are things that are more important to us that cause us to push further. But they don't have to be external things or somebody else's desires. They get to be your desires. So when you tap into what your desire is, the drive becomes automatic, and all of a sudden, everything to do with making that happen for yourself is actually lighting you up and you're enjoying it. And so you're raising your vibration, and the work that you're doing, the inspired action that you're taking in order to get to that next level is lighting you up. It's fun. It's exciting. You could do it all day because it's in alignment with what you actually desire. That drive is kicking in and pushing you in the direction of what you truly desire. So not only is it that you now know exactly what you truly want and why you're here, and all those dreams that you've been dreaming are for a purpose, but in addition to that, you now know exactly what you need to do in order to get those dreams to happen for yourself. Right? You know exactly what to do to kind of, poke yourself and make yourself gallop faster, because you understand how powerful that vision is, that definiteness of purpose. So lots of people go through their lives and they just don't have anything to strive for, or they're striving for something and that something isn't even something that they desire. And then they wonder why they can't hit it. I don't understand. I've hired this coach. I've hired that coach. I've made this happen. Well, let me tell you, just, answer this for me, Ginger or Jenny or whoever your name is. Why do you want to get 10,000 followers on Instagram? Well, I want to get because I want to, right? But why? Well, because I guess I figure that if I have more people that follow me on Instagram, I'll get more clients. Okay, but why do you want more clients? Well, more clients means more money. Great. Why do you want more money? Well, so I can do the things I want to do. Great, Jenny. Great, Ginger. So why don't we skip to the definiteness of purposes that I want to do the things I want to do? So start doing things you want to do now. Start helping yourself down that road now, right? When we take all these arbitrary detours that we think are what we want, we end up chasing nothing. And I am not saying this from a high horse where I haven't done this. Like I said, in network marketing, I have so many silly necklaces and bracelets and trips I went on and special pairs of shoes and all these crazy things that I, amassed because I was chasing someone else's dream, because I was trapped in the core desires of someone that, quite frankly, was not me. And once I realized I get to be the one that creates the core desire, that's when all of the magic started happening. And believe it or not, the solstice is a great time to start practicing this, right? Because the solstice is an opportunity for you to not only tap into your core desires, but to really connect with what that feels like. Right? There is a somatic connection there. And somatic just means body. So how can you really dig into that? And I'm going to use this example because I can, but think about sex, right? Who doesn't love to think about sex? When you are sexually attracted to someone or something, or many someones, right? If that's what you're into, when you have that attraction, there is a guttural, deep desire inside of you. You've been in that position where you feel like, oh my gosh, I need this person. I want this person. I want this connection, this deepness within myself that connects to this other person, right? Everybody's been there. And so that is the place that you need to draw your desires from to get to the deep desires that you long for that are going to be activated by your drive. Do you ever notice they call it a sex drive? You think that's by accident? It's not by accident, because you are literally in a position of striving and fighting and pushing for that feeling that you want to have, right? For that ecstatic feeling, that core desire, that to finally satiate that part of you that goes, oh, thank you so much for alleviating that pressure. So you've got to go find where the pressure is. And it can't be something that doesn't really light you up. And this is the problem that most people have. So in my work, one of the first things I do with my goddesses is I get down deep and I say, what do you truly desire? What is it that you really want out of your life? And don't tell me that it's, a trip to, the hotel downtown, or, whatever your company is making it be next, or, you want a new dress from White House Black Market, because that's bullshit. That is not what you want. You want something deeper. You want a legacy. You want to leave your mark. You want to make a lot of money so that you can be that person who doesn't have to worry about your bills anymore. So you can step into your next level and feel like, you know what? I can say whatever's on my heart because nobody can take away from me who I am. I want to be so confident in who I am that anything I say, I don't have to have a disclaimer. I don't have to suddenly say, oh, but I don't mean to offend anybody. I want the ability to just be myself. Do you feel the difference in that desire versus, oh yeah, I really want that new palette from Morphe, or Morphe, however you say it, right? It's like a totally different thing. I want to tap into the core of who I am and walk through my day with my head held high, feeling like I am the most gorgeous woman. I am the most handsome man. I am the most captivating human being on the planet. Different. It's a different feeling. And that definiteness is what is going to carry you through to that next level. That definiteness of desire, when you tap into that is what is going to truly and utterly keep you going when stuff feels like it's just too much. When you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to make another live, I've got to send another email, I have to cold DM, or not cold DM because I don't do that, but I have to, reach out to people again for the third time to keep going with this relationship. Like, oh, this feels so one way. All of this is for a purpose. And if that purpose doesn't light you up, you ain't gonna do it. You're just not. So I want to leave you with this really cool image of a really good example of this, okay? And here's what it is. So if you guys have ever seen the movie Suicide Squad, right? It's kind of like a little bit off, color or whatever. But there's a scene when the Joker is talking to Harley Quinn, right? Right before the big moment. And he looks at her and he says, "Would you die for me?" And she unequivocally, quickly says, "Yes." And he says, No. That's too easy. Would you live for me?" And in that moment, she says yes. And he says, "Careful. Do not say this oath carelessly." And he tells her that by submitting to him and by being part of him, she is now dedicating the rest of her life to being his, to doing his bidding, to being part of his will. So you can obviously think about all the things in your life that you would die for, right? But that's easy because you die and then it's over. Anybody can die for something, but it takes someone really, truly convicted to live for something. So what I want to know from you as we close out this chat today. What is something you would live for? Because that living is definiteness of purpose. That living is committing yourself so deeply to something that lights you up so deep inside your body that you could talk about it all day, that you could work on it all day, that you could literally have erotic feelings about it. It feels so good. That is what I want you to think about. What is something that you would live for? So feel free to put it in the comments. You can DM me if you feel like more comfortable. But I will tell you, when you tap into what this is, when you tap into this thing that you would live for, when you would tap into this place in you that you would dedicate your life to, that, my friends, is your definiteness of purpose. And when you find that, and when you own that, publicly, privately, energetically, spiritually, sexually, however you want to own it, when you own that purpose, there will be absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, that will stop you from making it happen. I'm Amy Lee Westervelt. This is Not So Small Talk. I'll see you guys again next week. Until then, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace. Namaste.